Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books. Today I am here with a haul. I've been buying some really interesting books lately and I really wanted to share them with you all. So this is not, I wouldn't say it's a huge haul. It's not a small haul either. So let's get to it. I think this haul will also give you a bit of an idea of how widely I read for those of you that are new to my channel. So let's start with the first book that I have on this stack. And this is the one, the book that has newly arrived. This is Sex, Law, and Sovereignty in French Algeria, 1830 to 1930 by Judith Surkis. This is an academic book, but I'm going to read it and I'm going to come back and report to you all. But you would not believe the journey I went on to try to get this book because I didn't want to order it from Amazon. Plus, the publisher had a discount because of a historical conference that was going on. So I actually got this book for cheaper via the publisher. I ordered it in May, early May, and it just got to me like a week ago. It was a whole thing. Anyways, you all don't need to know that. Let's move on to the next one. This next one was a book that I've already read and reviewed on this channel, so I will link my review video down below in case you're interested. It is Island Queen by Vanessa Riley. It's a fantastic historical fiction novel, and they just announced that it's been optioned for TV. And I'm so excited because it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful story. I read an advanced reader's copy via NetGalley, and but I love this book so much, I knew I had to buy the actual physical copy, and I'm so glad I did. I had to wait a little bit to order it. I got this a little bit late because of my move. Again, you all don't need to know the story of how I got the hold of these books, but there it is. The next book on the list is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is book number 1 in the Murderbot series. I already have a copy of this book, but I have a paperback copy, and this is the hardcover. Did I need the hardcover of this book? No, and normally I don't need all my books to match, but this one it looked odd on the shelf without the hardcover. And also my significant other wants to read this book, and so I figured it was okay to buy another copy of it. The world will not end. So now I have a second copy of that. Next book on my list is, oh wait, why do I have this one? This one I already hauled. Here it is. An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is book number 3 in the Bridgerton series, and they're re-releasing these both in the mass market paperback, the nicer paperbacks, and then in hardcover. I already have most of the Bridgerton series in its original release covers, but I thought it would be nice to have a few of these in the hardcover, so I'm waiting for them to go on sale. I'm not going to pay $20 for these books in hardcover, but I am kind of collecting a few of these. So I know I have book number 4 on the way as well. So yeah. All right, next book is Dear Senthuran by Akwaeke Emezi. I love all of their work, and this is their more recent release, and it is a memoir, so I'm really excited to get to it, hopefully very soon. And then I already read Freshwater, also by Akwaeke Emezi, and I loved it, but they recently put on their social media, I think it was on Twitter, I saw that they talked about how some readers are kind of misinterpreting or kind of having a different interpretation of this book than they intended, and I was one of those people, so I want to reread this book, and that's why I purchased it. I had read it from my library previously, and it's a book that I do want in my collection, and so I just went ahead and ordered it, and it's really good. If you haven't read this, it's about a woman who is born with multiple spirits, and then how she deals with it, and also her gender identity over the course of her life. It's a book that comes with a ton of content, warnings for self-harm, thoughts of suicide, sexual assault. It's got a lot of heavy topics, but it is a really wonderful book, even with my misinterpretation of the key theme. It was still really wonderful. Okay, next book is The Return of the Sorcerers by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. This is another book that I was so afraid I was not going to be able to get because I didn't pre-order it. This is the very limited edition of it. Only, I think they said 1,000 copies were printed of this very short novella, it turns out. And I thought actually I was not going to be able to get to it, but I just saw a review that Shannon over at Sopo did of this novella. And she sold me, and it's so short, and she's right. She was like, you can fit this in between other reads, and I think I will read this this month as well. So then I went to my local Goodwill, check out their books, and I found 2 books in there that I walked out with. The first is The Hummingbirds Daughter by Alberto Urrea. I first read Urrea a couple of years ago, I believe now. He wrote The Devil's Highway, which is about the story of a group of migrants that crossed through the desert, and most of the group died in the desert. That was a fantastic work of journalism and storytelling in that book. This is a work of fiction, and it was highly acclaimed when it came out. So when I saw that Goodwill had it, and you know, it's not like in the best of conditions, it's a little yellowed, but it's like the spine isn't cracked, and I picked it up. I'm accumulating all this stack of books here on my lap. The next book I found at Goodwill is Laurell K. Hamilton's Flirt. So this is part of the Anita Blake series, and it's further down. I think when I looked it up, I think this was book number like 14 or 17 in the series. But I'm only at I've read through book 6, so I'm not like far enough that this is going to be read soon. But I picked it up because it's actually harder to find books in the Anita Blake series in hardcover, and this is a hardcover, so I just went ahead and bought it. 2 more books on here, and these are both academic books. The first is From Back Alley to the Border: Criminal Abortion in California, 1920 to 1969, by Alicia Gutierrez-Romine. I will actually be on a panel with her in the near future. We're going to be working on it, talking about reproductive rights. So I really wanted to get the book and read it. I have some time though before the panel, so I really want to get to this right away. If you don't know, I wrote my dissertation on the French abortion movement of the 1970s. So this is right in my area of expertise. And last but not least is Birth Control in the Decolonizing Caribbean: Reproductive Politics and Practice on 4 Islands, 1930 to 1970 by Nicole Bourbonnais. I love Dr. Bourbonnais' work. I've used her work in my classes in the past, and they work fabulously. This is more heavy academic work, but I really can't wait to read this. This I will actually be reading in the next couple of weeks because I want to see if I'm going to use it for a class that I'm teaching in the fall on the history of reproductive rights for the Honors College, at my school. So yes, for those of you that don't know, the reason you see a lot of academic books on my reading and on my TBRs is because I teach at the college level. And so you see a lot of like reproductive rights stuff, a lot of French history stuff, and just world history in general, because those are the areas that I teach in. So if you have read any of these books, or if you would really like to hear my thoughts on any of these books, let me know down below. Your comments actually do help me prioritize books on my TBR, because otherwise, like, my reading ends up being really, really random. And actually, even with recommendations, it still ends up being pretty random. It's just the way it is. Those are the books that I have purchased recently. Again, if you have any thoughts on them, let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.